Hello, and welcome to our first Write the Docs Atlantic conference. My name is Sasha Romein. I am your conference chair, and I'm happy that you're all here. Write the Docs is, first and foremost, a community. That makes this a community conference run by community members, talks selected by community members. And we run it for the community. Our community extends far beyond this conference. We also had our first in-person Portland conference again earlier this year. We have Australia coming up in early December, and the call for papers for Australia is still open. So if there's anything you're thinking of submitting, you can also resubmit talks that didn't make it into other conferences. Please submit to the CFP and do it soon, because it is only open for a few more days after the end of Atlantic. We also have meetups on 5 different continents. We're always happy to add new meetups to help you get started. There is, of course, documentation on how to become a Write the Docs meetup, and we have a meetup support team that will help you. We also have 20,000 members on our Slack now, so that's been growing more and more. And 8,500 people on our mailing list, which not only has our conference announcements, but especially the monthly Write the Docs newsletter. So which kind of people come to Write the Docs and to this conference? There are, of course, many career writers, but we need to have many more kinds of people in our community. We need to build bridges with the support teams, with developers, with marketing, with sales. And so everyone can be a documentarian, whether it's community management or DevOps or a career writer. I am not actually a career writer myself. I am mainly a developer. I do actually write some documentation, but it is not the main thing I do. And I've always felt at home here in Write the Docs. Your job in this community, especially during the next 2 days, at this conference, is to make friends, learn things, and have fun. And one of the ways we do that as a community, we support that, is by having standards on how we act. Our community is welcoming, it's open, supportive, and positive. And this isn't me telling you how you should be acting, this is rather informing you of how our community already works. These are values that I've continuously seen throughout the community. I think we have a great community atmosphere. And this is very important to me because the way we act in this community towards each other, the newer people, the people who've been around for much longer, that defines how our community will feel to all of us. And I'd like to bring 2 specific rules on how we bring those values into our community. One is the Pac-Man rule, and the Pac-Man rule says that if you're standing as a group of people, always leave room for one extra person to join the group. So essentially, you stand in the shape of a Pac-Man. Of course, in a virtual event, this doesn't quite work the same way. However, the gist of it is the same, which means if you're part of an interesting discussion in a session or in the hallway, please feel free to click the button and hop in to share your AV and join the conversation interactively. Of course, you're always welcome to stick to chat, but adding audio and video adds a new way of engagement and being part of the session. And in the same way, if you're having conversations in hallways or other sessions and you're finding people are joining but not joining for audio and video, please feel free to invite them to join. They don't have to, some people prefer not to, but do encourage them that other people are always welcome to the session in the spirit of the Pac-Man rule. Second, we have the snowball rule. The snowball rule says, for every year you've attended Write the Docs events, we encourage you to meet one new person on each day. So if you've been to Write the Docs for 10 years, then we encourage you to meet 10 new people each day. But if you're just new, you can stick with one person. Of course, these are more like guidelines than actual rules, but we find that there are helpful ways to get people to think about how to form a community. And also in that spirit, you have the permission to meet anyone here. The speakers, the other attendees, the sponsors. We don't see anyone here as inherently special. So you have permission to meet anyone here, but also feel free to maintain your personal space when you need it. If you need a bit more distance, then you're also welcome to do so. But don't be afraid to talk to newcomers. It's part to new people that you don't know yet. It's part of why we're all here. In our in-person conferences, we have lanyards to indicate whether people would like to be on a photo or not. We don't have that in a virtual conference, so we have this screenshot policy. If you take a screenshot of any live session for posting, publishing, social media somewhere in public, ask for permission from anyone in view in advance. Not everyone wants to have their photos online. So think of it as an alternative to the lanyard where you ask permission in advance. The main stage talks, you're allowed to share screenshots and quotes without asking in advance. Those will be published anyways. We also have a code of conduct. And the code of conduct defines minimum standards for behavior. It's not necessarily everything of how we work as a community, but it defines the minimum expectations we have of everyone's behavior, which includes the attendees, but also speakers, sponsors, and organizers ourselves. It applies to every conference-related space, so that includes one-on-one chats, and we have a standard process which is published on our website, a code of conduct response policy, that defines how we deal with a report. But important to mention is that we keep the reporter's name confidential. I also want to stress that a code of conduct isn't something to be afraid of. While there are some harsh actions that we might take, like banning someone from the community in case of very severe incidents, most incidents are actually much more minor and lead to a conversation about why certain things weren't okay, that we don't want to see that again, and otherwise the person is encouraged to remain active in our community. If you see something or read something that you feel doesn't fit the code of conduct, that might be a violation, then please talk to an organizer. You can find us at the help desk, and you can also email conduct@writethedocs.org. That email address is only read by a small group of people. And I also want to stress that if you encounter something and you're just not sure if that's okay or not under the code of conduct, but it just doesn't sit right with you, please report it. We don't punish people for making code of conduct reports when they're not sure. It's okay to report something where we then decide that it's not a violation. So if in doubt, please report. So I want to move on to an overview of the conference space. First of all, we are a conference that covers a wide range of time zones. The schedule on our website is posted in UTC, in Central European Summertime, and Eastern Daylight Time. The schedule that you see in Hopin itself is adjusted to your browser's local time zone. Then any times that we mention, like the closing times of sessions in the reception text, those are all in UTC. We have 2 days of content on our stage. That is a wide range of content. We try to make a mix of content that's interested for newer people as well as people who've been involved in documentation for a long time. Not just for writers, also for people with different backgrounds, as I've mentioned before. Of course, there were many great talks that were submitted that we couldn't accept. And after each talk, we will have a moderated Q&A session under the Sessions tab. That means we have our MCs who will take the questions that were asked during the session and transform those into a conversation they have with the speaker. There are live human captions of Q&A sessions and the stage. You'll find the URL in the additional info tab, and we'll also post it in the chat. And if you have any questions during the talk, please prefix them with Q:. If you do so, they get automatically picked up by a bot, which puts them in a sheet, which is used by our Q&A moderators to sort and organize the questions, which is then used by our MCs to ask the questions. And if you don't add that, then there's a big chance that we'll miss your question and won't ask the speaker. Both days we have a lightning talk session. If you're new to this, lightning talks are 5-minute talks with quite short preparation selection during the conference, and they are strictly 5 minutes only. After 5 minutes, you will be cut off. There are 2 sessions, one on each day, and there's a sign-up form linked from the reception, which closes at 13:10 UTC on Monday and 12:40 UTC on Tuesday. That is about 2 talk slots plus breaks before the actual lightning talk session. There's an option in the lightning talks for being a new speaker or an experienced speaker. Please use wisdom in choosing an option, but we specifically want to give new speakers who have very little speaking experience or none at all a chance to be on the stage. So we'll select a mix of people. Slides are allowed for lightning talks, but they are optional. So if you can do without, then that saves us setup time and may make it simpler. But if you do prefer making slides, then you are welcome to. Some people also do hand-drawn slides that they show in front of their camera. Lightning talks are a rather flexible format. The range of subjects can also be quite big. So if you think you might have something interesting to share, please submit. Also, the lightning talks will have live captions by our captioner. Monday and Tuesday all day, we will have unconference sessions. The unconference are sort of structured space for interactive sessions led by someone from the community. You can take a slot for the unconference. There are 6 different tables. You can take a slot just by putting your name and the subject in the spreadsheet, which is linked from various places. And if you can't find it, feel free to ask these kind of things in the help desk at any time. Once you take a slot, it's yours, and you're expected to show up and lead the session. You can do it with multiple people as well. And it can be a discussion on something. It can be a deep dive after you saw an interesting talk. Some speakers will run an unconference session after their talk. It's a very flexible format. If you'd like to take a session, you sign up in the sheet. If you would like to attend a session, you don't have to do anything except show up. You do not need to put your name in a sheet. You just show up. If you no longer want to attend the session, if you decide it's not interesting for you or you want to do something different, just feel free to leave the session at any time as well. There are automated captions available from the Hopin platform, but we don't have control over them, so there are no guarantees for how well they might work. On Tuesday morning, we'll have a sponsor expo in the expo tab. Our sponsors will show their products, their jobs there. It's up to them how they fill it in. So please stop by and say hi. Our sponsors are a very important part of the conference. They allow us to keep the conference affordable and are also important members of our community. We don't have a dedicated social as such this year. We've decided to change the format a little because we are spread over different time zones, so evening isn't quite as clear as a concept in this year's schedule. So instead, we've blocked time to participate in the hallway sessions at the start and end of each conference day. We have several other spaces. The help desk under the Expo tab has a number of our staff who can answer any of your questions or point you to resources or help you find anything. So if you have questions during the conference, that would be the first place to go. The hallway sessions are not only for the socials, they are open all day, and they're an unstructured space for conversation, for meeting new people throughout the conference. They are meant to sort of be similar as the regular hallway in one of our conferences. You can also chat in Hopin with people all one-on-one, and also you can form small group conversations, private group conversations through Hopin's chat function. And finally, our Slack channel, WTD Conferences, is a backup platform. So if there's any issues with Hopin with this platform, then you can find us there for announcements and how we work around any technical issues. I would like to thank all of our speakers, our staff, our sponsors, and of course the attendees for all being part, for all making this conference together. And our sponsors this year are Knowledge Owl, HelpDocs, MongoDB, JetBrains RiderSite, and ClickHelp. And as I said, you can find many or all of them Tuesday morning under the expo in their booth. So please go and talk to them. I mentioned I'm the conference chair. This is actually my very first time in a position like this, but I have done conference organizing before. But of course, I cannot do it alone. This is the team of 15 people who are running this conference. Some of them you'll see on stage, like our MCs during the next 2 days. Some of them are more behind the scenes, because there are so many tasks involved in the conference. It's sponsor management, speakers, Q&A moderation, the help desk, lightning talks, running the writing day, which is already behind us now. We have Julia and Cheryl with us again as our captioners, now quite well known to the Write the Docs community. And again, Bart from Bart at Work running our stream on the stage. This being a community, there are ways for you to contribute as well, because this event is run by the community for the community. And we need a lot of things, not just event organizing, but also content. We have an extensive style guide. There's a writing guide, career guide. There's lots of content already, but there's also teams like Slack moderation, meetup support, and many other things. There is a recently updated team page. This is now a documented process on our website. And that has a lot of information on onboarding, offboarding, the kinds of tasks that we currently have, and how you can join those yourself. So if you're interested in contributing in some way, please have a look at that. We're always interested in knowing how we can help you. And therefore, we always welcome feedback, whether it's small things, whether it's big things, whether it's things you like to work on yourself or things you would like to give back. We always encourage feedback, and we always like to hear from you. After the conference, we will send out a survey where you can enter any feedback. During the conference, you're also always welcome. Of course, we have limited abilities in what we can still change during the conference, and we may not always act on all feedback, but I can promise we will read it and we take it seriously, and we'll always see what we can do. During and after the conference, how can you stay in touch with us? We are still Write the Docs on Twitter. You can use the Write the Docs hashtag on your favorite social media. And please join, if you haven't already, our Slack. You can join on writethedocs.org/Slack, fill in a small form, and that will give you a sign-up link so you can join. That wraps it up for my introduction. I hope you have a great conference, and thank you all for being here.